Hello, everybody. It's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly episode number 222 for July the 4th, 2023. And speaking of July the 24th, happy Independence Day to all of my American subscribers and friends. Hope you are having a great time. I think some Canadians are still celebrating July the 1st. From the sounds of things last night, there's still people shooting off fireworks. Anyways, let's get on with what I have to show you today. And let me just find the picture. Here we go. So I finished the In the Hoop Halloween table runner project. This was designs by Juju, I believe. And yeah, I'm really happy with it. It turned out really nice. And am I going to keep it? Well, I don't think so. I think I may give it to my sister if she wants it, because she's big into Halloween stuff. And here's the backing that I used. I thought this was fun. This was in my stash. It's little comical spiders in a spider web. And that's what I put on the back of this. Of course, the only thing holding the layers together is basically a simple stitch in the ditch, because each one of these little pieces on the table runner itself already have built into them a quilted design. So it's sort of like, if you've never done an In the Hoop project before, this is sort of like doing something, what do you call it, quilt as you go kind of a thing, except a little more elaborate. But of course I had to do stitch in the ditch around each one of these little blocks in here to hold the backing onto it. And I did a traditional binding on it. A lot of times when I do table runners, or I have in the past, I've done the what do they call it, the envelope fold or the pillowcase fold, blanket fold, you know, where you've got the right sides together, you stitch around it 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch, and then turn them in back, right sides back out, and you know, it's done. You sew up the hole that you pulled it through, and away you go. The only thing is, I don't really like the look of that. It makes for a kind of, or at least for me anyways, it kind of makes it a crooked binding, like it goes a little wonky. So I prefer doing, although it takes more time, to do the traditional type of binding, and that's what I've done on here. Now, the other project that I have finished the top on, and I now have to get it on Lucy and quilt it, is this. This is a Quilt of Valor project. It was a kit I bought at the Canadian National Quilt Show. It's a panel and some of their new fabrics. At the time that I bought this, it was not yet available in stores. However, I believe that situation has changed now. I think it's now you can get it. It's been rolled out to most quilt stores that carry the Quilt of Valor kits. I really loved this, the fabric. The pattern is very simple. The most complicated thing about this pattern was basically making these blocks here, the poppy blocks, and those were pretty much a breeze too. Well-written pattern. You know that the last couple of patterns that I've done that have been from Northcott makes the Quilts of Valor pattern here, have not gone well. Those are those Patty's Patchwork patterns that were full of errors. This one, however, was absolutely easy to follow. Everything was the exact size it should be. Worked out very nice. So now it's sitting in Lucy's room waiting to be quilted, and I'm really not sure what I'm going to do. I am thinking I might do set up the quilt path, the computerized system, to do some customized quilting on this, like some pattern here in the panel, then maybe a different pattern in the poppies, and then maybe in the borders, something else. I don't know. I don't want to screw it up, but you know, you got to be daring too. So anyways, that's a project sitting there waiting to be done, and when I do get it finished, I'll be showing it to you. And another project that I have sitting on Lucy is my Halloween quilt, which was a kit that Stephanie from Stephanie Stitches gave me when we were at the quilt show in Halifax. I have it all together. It's cute. And I put it on Lucy on the weekend, and I did quilt it. It's sitting over on my sewing table, waiting to be bound, and I'm hoping to do that today. It turned out okay. The problem is I probably quilted the hell out of it. I didn't realize that when I picked the design, which is basically a spider in a web, and I used a variegated thread, that maybe I should have made the pattern a little larger, because it took 12 hours, 14 hours to quilt. And it is very, very dense. It looks okay though. I did run into a couple of problems. Lucy and I had words. Okay. And just as an aside, the simplest things, if you have a long arm, can screw you up. Lucy was working fine, and then she started to break thread. And it was the bobbin seemed to be the problem. So I screwed around with that. I even got to one point where midway through the quilt, I cleaned the bobbin. Again, my machine was perfectly clean. I clean it after every project and that kind of thing, but I did it again, and it kept breaking threads. Finally, Walter suggested to me, well, why don't you just change the needle and see what happens? Yeah, I did, and that was it. No problem. So you see, it's a little thing like that. And I mean, the thing is too, I do change my needles on a regular basis. Okay. Now I think I had done though a couple of smaller projects using that one needle. So that might have been the project. I didn't really change it. I guess I need to get into the habit of changing the needle after every project. When I clean the machine, I change the needle. Just a simple little thing like that was giving me grief. Anyways, I'm getting better with figuring out how to get things to pick up where they left off. There's a couple of little areas on the quilt. If you were to really study it, and I mean really study it, you might see where I didn't quite get things lined up exactly. However, as I said, the pattern on it, the quilting pattern on it is so dense, so busy, you won't notice it. And it's a novelty quilt. I'll probably put it on display, in October as part of, my fall Halloween decor kind of ideas. And it's not something I'm going to give to somebody. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's always a learning experience, What's the saying? Man on a galloping horse going 3 miles an hour can't see the mistake, then there's nothing to worry about. Yeah. Okay, and that I'll show to you probably next week. I should have it bound by then. And then I'll point out what I'm talking about now. Okay, so let's move on to what's been happening, what's new, what's next. Well, first of all, just a reminder, as I remind you every week. I don't know if I need to remind you every week, but I do anyways, because some of you are brand new. My subscriptions have gone up lately, and which makes me very happy, but more about that near the end of today's episode. But anyway, Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen will happen this coming Wednesday, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you can join us for half an hour, the day, whatever, and get caught up on some of your works in progress or whatever, feel free to do so. The link is in the show notes below. And again, I think it'll probably go the full day on Wednesday. I don't have any big plans this week. As you know, if you've seen my vlog and you've seen Stephen and Walter live, we're sitting around waiting to hear from the insurance company about, Walter's accident, how much they're going to give us. And yeah. And just as an aside, which has nothing to do with quilting, Walter's a little concerned that he may have signed a contract for a new car a little early. He does this, okay? He is a worrier. And I have told him there is nothing to worry about. He's afraid they're going to authorize to have the car fixed, his old car. Well, I said to him, the tow truck driver looked at it and said, this is not repairable. I think he knows. And we'll work around. We'll work around all this. It'll work out. It'll work out. So that's what I'm telling him. And yes, it will work out. So anyways, thank everybody again for sending their good wishes to Walter and their concerns and everything after his accident. And he is fine. And once we get through the next couple of weeks, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, didn't want to go that direction. Let's get back on track. Okay, and what else is coming up? Well, advance notice, July 15th. I think yesterday I put the wrong date in the show notes on the vlog for this. I think I put July 5th. It is not July the 5th. One of my subscribers, Heidi, pointed that out to me. Thank you very much, Heidi, because slip of the fingers. So no, it is on July the 15th. That is a Saturday, and that will be an all-day event. I call it Stephen's Birthday Bash Pop-Up Sew Day. That's a mouthful. Say it fast 5 times. All are welcome. You do not have to pre-register. Again, I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but some people think they have to pre-register for this event. You do not. You just show up whenever you want to show up. Don't worry, there will be a spot for you. I can handle about 100 people, okay? I doubt very much that I'm going to have 100 people. I mean, the all-time record for a pop-up sew day is about 40, if it's that, okay? So I think there'll be plenty of room. So not to worry, okay? And the link is in the show notes below for it, and I'll be sending out next week, I'll be sending out an email to everybody that's on my mailing list with that same link in it for you too. So yeah. Now I was hoping to be able to show you this month's Sewers Club box, but it has not arrived yet. I think, no, I don't. I'm not sure when I'm getting it. I think they said they were shipping it out on June the 28th. But we have had a holiday in between there and that. So I'm expecting I should get it before the end of this week. And when I do, of course, I'll be sharing it with you. And you know, I changed from the fat quarter box to their new box, which is 1/2 meter cuts, and to see what I get this time with it. And if you're interested in the Sewers Club, you can, on your first subscription order, you can save 30% if you use the code that's in the show notes below for me. And yes, just, for transparency, they do give me a little bit of a kickback for every subscriber. I have no idea how much it is. I don't think it's that much. And to date, I don't think I've made anything on it, but that's okay. I'm not concerned about it. Okay, so that takes me to a little demo video that I made. I've been doing lately, like with that Halloween table runner, I have been doing a lot of in the hoop projects. And when you do in the hoop projects and when you go to put the pieces together, you need to trim back your batting and stabilizer, but you want to leave some extra fabric for joining the blocks together. And you can do that easily enough with a ruler and a rotary cutter, but sometimes, well, if you're like me and nobody's like me, I have a tendency to cut the bloody fabric, and then you got a problem because I don't have enough fabric to work with. So I have a tool. I've had it for quite a while. I kind of forgot I even had it. So I dug it out of a drawer, and it's called the Trimmer by George, and it is designed by the Hoop Sisters, who are big into machine embroidery projects like quilts and table runners and things like that in the hoop. And this little gadget is brilliant. So I thought I'd show you what I mean and how it works. So I thought I'd show you how I use this tool, which is a great tool to have if you do a lot of machine embroidery and you do a lot of applique applique designs using your machine to do them. This is called the Trimmer by George 2.0. I believe they have another version of this out now called 3.0, but it doesn't matter what version you use. They all work basically the same, and this is a great tool. Now, oftentimes when you do an in the hoop design that has applique, you will have something like this. I just did this piece, it's a little piece here, and what the machine has told you, the file has told you, is how to sew down your layers. Now in the case of this, because it's going to be part of a table runner, it does have some batting underneath this square as well. And of course, this is all your stabilizer. And usually when you put multiple pieces together in something like a table runner or a placemat, you need to sew them together. But if you leave the stabilizer underneath the pieces of the fabric where you're going to be sewing your seams, you're going to get a really thick seam. So this little device helps you get rid of that. Now, you'll notice the way this is constructed. There is a steel lip on this side, and the rest of it is like a regular quilting ruler. It's got measurements in 1-inch increments down to 1/4-inch increments and that kind of thing. We'll come back to that in a moment. First of all, I want to show you what you need to do to use this to get rid of your stabilizer. So all you do is you turn it up so that the edge, this white edge right here, is facing upwards towards you, and then tuck it underneath your fabric and right up to the stitch line. Now you'll feel it because your fabric will stop. So you see, you've moved your fabric out of the way, so now you can trim your stabilizer. Now, this does about a 1/4-inch trim. That's how much it'll leave behind. So you just take your rotary cutter and zip that right off. So now what you have is your stabilizer trimmed very close to your seam allowance, but you didn't cut the fabric. So you do this all the way around your piece. Let me get it into the shot here. Just the same way. Pull up your fabric, tug your ruler over, cut. Flip it to the other side. Now I have actually 2 pieces on here, which I should have separated. Not that's going to matter much, but for the sake of illustration. Now I don't think there's much here I can cut off. There might be a little bit. Oops, I'm getting out of the shot, sorry. And let's just do this last little bit here. Okay, so I've cut my stabilizer. And it's close to the seam line, so I don't have to worry about it. I am going to separate these 2 pieces. They were both done at the same time on the, actually 4 pieces for this particular thing. I'm just going to take my scissors and cut that out. And I don't think I have any stabilizer. No, it's too small, and that's okay. All right, so now I have my piece, but usually there's in sewing instructions that you need to have a seam allowance of anywhere between 1/2 inch to 1 inch all the way around your outside stitching line. And you probably can't see my outside stitching line because this is, let's do this one, because this one's a little bit easier to see because it's white on the purple. So all you do is take the ruler side of the George and find your, now in this case they want me to cut a 1-inch seam allowance all the way around this. So I just find my 1-inch line, just like you would do on a regular ruler, line it up against that outside stitch line, and trim. And I'm just going to go all the way around this piece. And then I'll have the piece all squared up, ready for sewing into the table runner. And we'll just take this one off. Now, like I said, your instructions will tell you whether they want you to do 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is the usual. In this particular pattern, they want 1 inch for these pieces. So if it was 1/2 inch, I would just find the 1/2 inch line and do exactly what I did. And there we go. We have our piece all trimmed up nicely. We have our stabilizer out of the way. So what we can do is, now, yeah, you're going to say, well, that's not very even. Well, no, it doesn't matter. It's out of my way when I stitch these together for the 1/4 seam allowance. And so I will have thickness of just what we usually have when we make a quilt, just 2 pieces of fabric on top of each other. Hope that made sense. And that's how you use the Trimmer by George 2.0, or you can get the 3.0 now, and it is manufactured and sold by hoopsisters.com. This is a tool that I can't live without. And I think you'll find the same if you do a lot of machine embroidery and you do a lot of machine applique. This will be a real godsend. So yeah, if you look around, I think you can get them at some quilt stores. I think you can. I picked that one up at my local quilt store. I think there's one that's called Trimmer by George 3.0. I'm not sure what the difference is, but any version that you buy will work just the way I showed you. I think the newer one has more markings on it. Okay, subscribers quilt of the week. And this is from Lucy, and I hope I'm saying her last name correctly, Lucy Badley. And I believe Lucy is in the United Kingdom. And she sent me this beautiful picture of one of her beautiful creations. And so I'm going to share that with you right now. This week's quilt from subscriber comes from Lucy Badley, and she writes, I attached 2 photos of a pink and gray color wash half square triangle quilt. The gray prints are in fact Christmas ones. I made this using a dining table as a design wall. My knees won't manage the floor anymore. You know how that feels. I designed this myself and free motion quilted it on my domestic sewing machine as usual. It is a double quilt, but we use it on the sofa to snuggle under while watching films. So Lucy, this is really, really beautiful. And I would never have thought of using that color combination of the pinks and the reds with the grays. Here's a better shot of it, the whole quilt. Very effective in the way the colors almost radiate out from it. Really like this a lot. And I can see your quilting. Let's go back to this picture a little closer up here. You can see you've just did some meanders on your domestic sewing machine, but you know, a lot of those prints are very busy, and so that simple quilting design really works with the overall look of the quilt without taking away from the prints. So a wonderful quilt. Thank you so much for sending it to us so I could share it with everybody else. And I just want to thank everybody who's been sending me pictures of their lovely creations. I have enough right now to take me up to August 15th, but that doesn't mean I won't accept anymore. I will definitely accept them. Please, though, please try to limit your number of pictures of the same creation to 1 or 2, no more than 2, please. Because processing and things like that to get them all up does take some time. And please include a short blurb, 50 words or less, about the creation. Don't just say, here's my quilt, because I have nothing to say about it except this is gorgeous. Yeah. So, but yes. So if some of you are wondering why when you send me a creation and I write back, I'm going to feature it on a certain date, and why that certain date may be several weeks down the road, it's because I do them in the order they've come in. I print out your email, I save the picture file, and I put all that information in a folder with the date of when it's going to go up on the Idiot Quilter. So I will be showing it. It just might not happen. Well, it's not going to happen the next day after you've sent it, okay? But I really appreciate you sending these to me. I love seeing your work, and I know that many of the subscribers on here are enjoying them as well. Okay, so that takes me to the YouTube of the week. Now, this is called Kept in Stitches, not Captain Stitches. Okay, the reason I say that is because in a moment I'm going to talk about this week's interview, because I do have an interview, and it happens to be the lady who owns this YouTube channel. And for some reason, when she says the name of her YouTube channel, to my ear, it sounds like Captain Stitches, but it's Kept in Stitches, Kept in Stitches, okay? So if you go looking for Captain Stitches, you're not going to find her, okay? But anyways, here's what I'm talking about. This week's YouTube channel is one by a lady that I just interviewed, and you just saw the teaser for Jean Brittingham at Kept in Stitches. And her YouTube channel, as we mentioned in the interview, is Kept in Stitches. And so let's check it out. Jean has quite a following, and she has 85 videos. She needs a few more subscribers, and I hope you'll support her YouTube channel because it's well worth watching. Let's take a look at Jean's playlist to get a sense of what it is she has. She has the weekend review, tip demo Tuesdays. She even has cooking as well. And she has crochet as well. So some of you are into crocheting and quilting and knitting. She has it all here with projects and tutorials as well. There's quite a variety of videos for you to choose from, and they suit a variety of different crafting interests. So Jean is very professional, but very friendly in her way of handling her topics in her videos. I think you'll find her very enjoyable. I certainly do. So check out Jean Brittingham at Kept in Stitches. So that takes me to future projects. Actually, not. You've already seen this project. It's Freedom. It is the Quilt of Valor quilt I showed you earlier in the episode today. And I thought you might want more details about the pattern, so I have inserted that here. This week's future pattern that I want to work on is actually a kit that I bought at the Quilts of Valor Canada booth at the Canadian National Quilt Show, and it's a new fabric line and a new panel that they have just come out with, and it's called O Canada 2 Freedom Quilt Kit. Now, I'm not sure if you can get the pattern alone. I did do a quick search for that and could not find it. The only place I could find it was here on the Quilts of Valor site, and I'll put a link for this in the show notes below. And it is a kit, and it's $125 for the kit, Canadian. But I imagine the pattern will come out at some time soon. This is a pretty new pattern, and it says it's a pre-order as well. I know that when I was at the quilt show, I was able to get my hands on this, but they did say it had just come out and it's not available yet in other stores. But nevertheless, I think it looks fantastic. It looks like a fairly easy panel or pattern as well, because it's basically borders. And I'm not sure if there's any, no, it looks like there isn't any applique. There may be some blocks along the side of the border to create, but it looks like it will go together pretty fast. So I'm excited about doing this one. I love the Quilts of Valor patterns. And of course, these are meant to be donated back to Quilts of Valor so they can be gifted to a veteran. So if you're interested in this and you want to get the kit with all the fabric that you need, then check out the link in the show notes below. So as I mentioned, I do have an interview this week, and after this goes up, you'll be able to have access to that interview. I interviewed the owner of Kept in Stitches, Jean Brittingham. Jean Brittingham is also one of my subscribers, and I have met Jean informally through Zoom on some of my pop-up sew days and on Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. And I thought, when I heard that she had a YouTube channel, I thought I'd check it out and ask her if she'd like to be interviewed. And she agreed, very graciously agreed to this. Jean is a very, very experienced quilter and sewer. I am not worthy. I am not worthy. And it is a great interview. And here's a little teaser for that interview. Gravitate towards the Civil War style fabrics. I hear a lot of American quilters talk a lot about the Civil War fabric. See, for us in Canada, of course, because historically the Civil War doesn't mean anything to us. Right. But what is it? And I know what Civil War fabrics look like, but what is it about those that attract you? Is it the historical connection or the colors?
It's just that the colors and the fabrics and the way you can use them all, you know, and they will all, I mean, that's like this. I mean, I have pulled probably, like 81 different fabrics out of my Civil War and combined Kim Deal with it, because hers will blend with Civil War fabrics also. And they just, Yeah, on a quilt that you're doing as a sample or a scrappy, you don't have to worry about it because they're all gonna end up going together. It's just the style of it, and it was what some of the designers back in when I started was basically a lot of what they used.
They were doing, yeah. So I hope you'll check out Jean's interview and also check out Kept in Stitches. Okay, so that takes me to the online quilt store this week. This one is called Country Clothesline. This week's online quilt store is one that was at the Canadian Quilt Show. And I did stop by their booth and I bought a bundle of fabric for a really good price. And so I thought I would review their online presence. And this is it here, Country Clothesline, as I told you. And here's their front page showing some beautiful fabrics that they have in their line as well. So let's take a closer look at their fabrics. So let's see, how do they have them organized? They have them organized by new, bundles and pre-cuts, Liberty Boutique. I wonder if that's Liberty Fabrics, probably is. They have Tilda, babies and kids, solids, colors, themes, fabrications, and clearance. So let's take a look at what's new, shall we? And here you go. Now I'm looking at the price. I imagine that's a half meter, so they're not particularly cheap. It looks like they average about $22 a meter, which, yeah, is on the pricey side, but everything's gone up. They have 29 pages of fabrics, and they have a lot of tilde by the looks of things. Their way of organizing this looks like if you want to see everything in their fabric line, you need to click on new. Otherwise, yeah, it looks like you have to go by these categories. Not too fond of that idea in terms of organization. I'd like to be able to, see all of the fabrics at once. Let's take a look at the Liberty fabrics and see what they're selling those for. Well, they vary. Looks like from $9.95, and I wonder if that's probably, yeah, they do it by yards, not by meters. You know how I feel about that at Canadian store, not doing it in meters, but neither here nor there. So a half yard is $9.95, so that puts it at about $19, $20. Yeah, $20 on yard. However, that's one of the cheaper end. There looks like there's some here that's more like $24.95. So it depends, but they do have a fairly good selection of Liberty fabrics if you're into that. Now they're also showing a fabric line called Tilda, which I'm not a big fan of Tilda. I know many people are. Price wise, again, it looks like it's from $16 to about $20 a yard, but a fairly large selection of those. They do have bundles and pre-cuts, they say, so let's see what they're selling those for. Yeah, prices again, depending on what you're buying, are, quite varied. So, yeah, nothing here is really grabbing me, but well, I don't know. They've got not a bad selection. It looks to me like they like to stick to things that are a little bit flowery, a little bit more girlish, if you'll pardon the expression. Not really to my taste, but that's okay. Okay, let's take a look at what's under fabrications. Quilting cotton, okay. We got fabrications, and we have something called quilting cotton. Okay, I thought we were all no products found in this collection. That's weird. They're selling fabric and it's quilting fabric, so it's cotton, but yet under fabrications and quilting cotton, they have nothing there. They have toweling. Okay. Yeah, I'm always kind of on the lookout for that because I like making my own tea towels. What else is under fabrication? Lawns, okay. cozy flannels, linen and linen blends, home decorating, double gauze wide backs. Let's see what their selection is. Okay, don't like this interface way it jumps around. Let's look under wide backs and see what we have. 14.95, 15.95, 13.95, 11.95. Not a big selection. 14.95, and that is for sold by the half yard. Okay, so yeah, $30, about the going price for that. All right, let's take a look at their thread. 50 weight, because that's what I use. And they have Aurifil, $18. Yep. Not as pricey as it is in the States, which is weird, because usually in Canada things are more. But Aurifil, I know, just recently went up in price, so $18, that's about what I'm see it going for, except at my local quilt store where it's still a little less, or on Monfil's site, monfil.ca. Okay, and they have 28 and 80 and variegated, and they have floss. All right, what's under tools? Rulers and cutters, irons and pressing. Okay, the usual kind of things that you would expect. Kits. Now they have a few kits. I'm just looking to see if there's anything that jumps out at me. Not really. Yeah, they have a few. It's not a huge selection. Books. Do people buy books anymore? I usually go for e-text. But they have a few books here as well. Okay, and pretty standard, I think. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Perfect patchwork. What's that? Just out of curiosity. Looks like it's cat theme. Oh, that's fun. Haven't seen one of those before. That intrigues me. And Fat Quarter sold out though. Patchwork quilts. So yeah, always looking for things about making quilts from just fat quarters. Oh, okay, patterns. Looks like they have quite a few dress patterns. Yeah, garment and bag patterns. What about quilt patterns? Quilt seeds. Okay, it's a block pattern. Isn't that funny? For someplace that is, a quilt store, no real quilt patterns. Okay, they have gift cards, they have workshops. So they've got a clothing workshop, invisible mending, and then a little mini foundation thing. Looks like a log cabin. Yeah, really not much of a selection in workshops either. Okay, so I think we've pretty much checked everything out here now. So my overall impression, not a great selection. If you want Liberty fabrics, they do have a selection of those, or Tilda, which is good. Prices are on the higher side for most things on here. Not a lot in kits to choose from and when it comes to quilting, nor a lot to choose in patterns when it comes to quilting. So maybe something here you like. If you're into Liberty, as I said, fabric, or Tilda, this might be the place to go. So that's the country clothesline. So just before I end this episode, a couple of final thoughts, and they have to do with the growth of my channel. Something I never do, and Walter's been after me to do it. He says I should. Everybody else is doing it on their channels. And that's one reason why I don't like doing this, and that is what I consider begging for subscribers, for people to subscribe. Okay. To me, it seems pretty much a no-brainer. You see the subscribe button if you like the channel and you want, to stay up to date on the latest videos from a channel. You hit the subscribe button and you hit the little bell icon and click on the first one that says all. And 9 times out of 10 you're supposed to get notifications from YouTube about when a new video goes up to that channel you have subscribed to. Yeah, I say 9 times out of 10 because it doesn't always work that well. And that has nothing to do with any content creators. That has everything to do with the algorithms and the way that Google programs things. And well, that's beyond any of our control. However, it does help. Now, I thought, yeah, does subscribers make a big difference? Apparently it does. I did a little research. Um, the way YouTube has things come up and might make recommendations to you is based upon subscribing. Um, don't ask me how that works because I don't know. I'm not a computer programmer, but that apparently does help to, or helps a content creator get their videos moved up a little bit higher on the hierarchy so that people can find them more easily. So if you subscribe to me, if you're already on here and you're watching me on a regular basis, please hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. If you want to unsubscribe from me at some point in the future, you can do that too. It's not a problem. It's not hard. Hit the bell icon so you're going to get notifications. Given what I've already said about that, how well that works. But it does help me. And I'm going to let you in on something. First of all, the more subscribers I have, the more views I get, the more money I make on advertising. Now, how much money is that? Not much. And I'll be upfront and transparent with you. I'm not doing this for the money, but it's there. I might as well. I know some YouTube subscribers talk about that. That's how they're able to bring you videos every week because people subscribe and they get money from the advertising. I think that's a lot of bull. All right. Reason being is it's not really costing me anything to make these videos. Oh yeah, sure. There's equipment involved, there's time involved, but it's a hobby for me. So I don't consider that an expense. Other people though are doing this as a business, but there are people that have like 100,000 plus subscribers. They edit their brains out on a video. They have fancy studio equipment, microphones, lighting, the whole bit. Okay. So, they're professionals, basically. I am not. How much do I make every month? After they take 30% away from me for tax, for American tax, I'm Canadian, but they still take it. I average about 200 bucks Canadian a month. That's about it. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. Pocket change, I guess. I'm not looking at it as a supplement to my income, but subscribing helps. But what I am interested in is what I'd like to achieve is 10,000 subscribers before the end of 2023. I am up at my last statistic to just slightly over 8,800. So 1,200 to go. I think it's asking too much. However, how you can help me with that goal is if you do not subscribe to me, but you watch me on a regular basis, hit the subscribe button. It just helps me out. Yeah, what more can I say? I may mention this again in some of my other videos. I'm trying to see if that makes a difference or not. I don't know. But I don't like begging, and I'm not begging. Okay? It's up to you. But I thought I'd let you know. Okay, that's enough about any of that. I hope you have a great week. I hope you're enjoying, if you're American, I hope you're enjoying your 4th of July celebrations. I know that 4th of July is a biggie for many Americans. I think it's more significant than July the 1st is, Canada Day, for us Canadians. I could be wrong, but from what I hear, it sounds like it's a biggie. So enjoy, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.